So let's start by just one by one. Hit that space bar and just say who you are, the college you're at, and then the year that you're in right now. So we'll start with Madison.
The space bar didn't work for me, but I'm Madison Hollenbeck. I play at Southern Virginia University, and I'm currently a freshman. Though it's weird because we kind of are done, but I played my freshman season. I'm going into sophomore year now.
Thank you, Madison. Ella.
Okay, hi, I'm Ella. I play at Biola University, and I'm at the end of my freshman year as well.
Thank you. Tati.
My name's Tatiana. I go to Belmont Abbey College, and I'm currently a freshman and going into my sophomore year.
Autumn.
My name is Autumn Stewart. I go to New Mexico Highland University, and I'm ending my sophomore
year. Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica, and I'm currently ending my sophomore year at Sacramento State University.
Thank you. Kelly.
I'm Kelly. I go to Cal State San Bernardino, and I'm in the end of my freshman year.
Thank you. Caitlin.
My name is Caitlin, and I go to UC Riverside, and I'm a sophomore going into my junior year.
Thank you. Alyssa?
I'm Alyssa. I'm ending my freshman year, and I go to Marymount California University.
Thank you. Kylie?
I'm Kylie. I go to Westminster College, and I am in my sophomore year, going into junior.
Thank you. And then Sam, I think you can hear us. So if you can, what about you? Name, where you go to school, the year.
Yeah, I hear you, but it's not letting me record myself. It says that you have to accept my request.
I did. So try it again.
Yeah, I clicked it. It's still not letting me.
Okay.
But my name's Samantha. I'm a sophomore, and I go to Golden West College.
All right. Thank you. So again, we've got a mix of, all kinds of players playing at different schools, different states. So now we'll just go through some of the questions. So this can just be a real quick yes or no. Did you receive scholarship money to play? And let's start with athletic scholarship. And then I'll ask you again if you got academic. So just go ahead and go through. Don't wait on me to call you out. Just spacebar, yes, no.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. No.
Right. So for the ones that said no, they're at a school that's either D3 or a junior college where you cannot get athletic scholarships. So all of you that are at a D1, D2, or an AIA said yes, correct? Yep. So a little bit, and those numbers will obviously range from full ride down to as little as 5%. So academic scholarship. Yes, no.
Yes.
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 No.
Right. So again, you can see it ranges where you're at, if they can provide academic scholarship, as well as if your grades allowed you to receive those. So some schools have higher standards to receive academic scholarship than others. So that would be a factor there. So let's just do, one of you talk, and then after you're finished, just a quick story. We'll have somebody else speak. So when did you start your recruiting process? Meaning, when was the first time you sent an email out, had any kind of contact with the college? And do like the high school year. So, your freshman year, sophomore year, whatever. So somebody feel free, go ahead.
I'll go.
All right.
I think the first email I sent out was my freshman year, beginning, I think going into freshman year, that summer before, doing all the showcases. I think that was the first time I ever sent an email.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was the same. Even though it was kind of like, oh, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm interested in your school. It wasn't anything super serious yet, obviously, but my parents encouraged me to just to get comfortable and kind of used to emailing coaches.
Perfect. Anyone else? If it's
I'm
different, if
probably
it's
the same as Kelly and Alyssa. I think I sent out my first email this summer going into freshman year of high school. And like Alyssa, it was more just to get my like name out there and like coaches would get comfortable. Obviously, I'd send it to like the preferred schools and just so they'd see your name frequently and probably want to get out there more just to show that you were consistent. But yeah.
perfect.
I think it was going into my end of freshman year summer when all the showcases were going on, just to get on the radar mostly, to kind of get my name out there.
Cool. So it sounds like at least everyone that spoke was that freshman year, whether it be the summer before, the actual freshman year, the summer after, reaching out and just kind of getting their name out there. So not really getting much feedback. Well, you shouldn't have been getting any real response, but just getting your name out there and starting to promote yourself. So that leads to the next one. How did you promote yourself to coaches? And that doesn't need to be that first email. That could be just throughout your recruiting process, but some things you did to promote yourself to the coaches.
Yeah, so I started out by emailing like coaches and just sending them my schedule so that they knew when they could come and watch me. And then I also went to ID camps to the schools that I wanted to go to.
Perfect. So emails, ID camps, and you said of the schools you wanted to go to. So those were like the specific ID camps.
Yeah, so I like made it a point to ask also in my emails when ID camps were and looking online to see when they were for the schools that I wanted. And then there was also like one big one at UC Irvine that I went to where there was like a range of different schools there as well. So there's ID camps like that as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else?
I think going off of what Ella said, the ID camps were what helped me a lot, just getting onto campuses and meeting a lot of the players. That's kind of how I introduced myself to the coaches, and like, because I would send emails and stuff, but what really got my name out there was going to meet the coaches. And I felt like in addition to like getting my name out there, it helped me get a better feel for what the school is actually like. So I knew that if I didn't like it, I didn't have to consider it and keep emailing the coaches. And that was just a way to make it a more serious option.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Not, we'll move on to the next question. So where and when were you first seen by the school you ended up going to?
I was actually first seen at the Cerritos Memorial Tournament my sophomore year. So I don't know when that was, but in May. And then I just kind of kept in contact with them. They watched my games throughout the summer. I went to an ID camp in July, and I committed August.
Awesome.
But that was the only school that I talked to. So it was the summer between sophomore and junior year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I was seen at Surf Cup my junior year, I believe it was. And it was that one year where it was raining really hard. But yeah, the coach came out to the field and he talked to Sean. And then I went on a visit in February, and then I committed. It was early February that I committed Valentine's Day that year. So not too long after.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. Anyone else?
I went to the North Carolina showcase for Castle, and it was my senior year, end of November, early December, and my college coach went up to Heath, and Heath pulled me over to him, and then we started talking. We've been in contact ever since then. And then I committed that after a Vegas showcase, which I don't remember when was, that I just committed.
Late March. So yeah, so started early December, signed late March.
I was first seen by actually my high school coach had arranged for me to go do some random practice with the team. And I was like, I don't really know this school or anything about them, but sure, I'll go just to kind of get exposure. Practice was very early. I went out, really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the session, really enjoyed the coach. And
That was my sophomore or junior year, sometime between that time period. But I didn't commit until April of my senior year. So although it felt really late, it's never too late to commit. Well, I mean, there is a deadline, but it's okay if you're not committing your like sophomore, junior year.
Very good. Thank you. So that actually just brings up a question. Just raise your hand so we can see it. But who here had heard of the school that they're currently at before they had reached out to them? So you knew that the school existed before they reached out to you. Raise your hand. Right. So just in this group, half of you had heard of the school before. So I think that's important because a lot of the times I think we kind of pigeonhole ourselves into these schools that we've heard of, and it leaves out a ton of schools and a ton of opportunities that are outside of your network or your bubble. So I think that's important to keep in mind too. So give me one or two of the main reasons that you chose the school you did. And it could be whatever it was to you, but the deciding factors for you.
I think the main reason why I went to Highlands is because they supported me the most financially and academically with the scholarships. One thing though was also out of state, which I was kind of on the edge about, like leaving home. That's kind of a hard thing to do, especially at such a young age. Maybe some of you were graduating at 17 or even 18. I know my sister is, so she struggled with that one. But I think I needed a new step and a new push, and I went out of state, and it was probably the best decision I made for myself.
Awesome, thank you.
The main reason I picked Westminster was I kind of like fell in love with the campus when I went on my visit, and the coach was like super like laid back and lenient, so it's kind of fun to have a coach that's like pretty chill, even though like it's a serious like thing.
Thank you.
I chose my school because I wanted to go far from home. I mean, it's 6 hours from here, but I also wanted to be close, so it is only an hour flight back. So that was pretty nice, so my parents could come up and see me. And one huge thing for me was the way the team was, because I spend most of my time around them, so I wanted to get a feel of how the girls were when I went on my visit. And it was basically like I was around my sisters. Like, it was so nice, and like they just made me feel so welcome, and that was like one huge thing. And now that I spend like most of my time with them, I like don't regret a single second of it.
Awesome. Let's get one more.
I'm actually the opposite. So I picked Riverside because it was close to home and I wanted to stay close to home. And another reason was the coaches, knowing that they were going to be coaching me for the next 4 years, and it was someone that I was going to kind of have somewhat of a bond with. So for me, it was the coaches for sure. And also because it was a UC in academics.
Awesome. Thank you. So the summer before and then preseason, just experiences, stuff you got, stuff you didn't get. Was it harder than you thought it would be? Was it easier than you thought it would be? Was there something you didn't expect at all? Anything. So go ahead and give your thoughts.
Yeah, so the summer before we actually received a packet, like really early in the beginning of summer. I was actually still in school because my school now gets out a lot earlier than my high school did. So I got a packet that we were just supposed to follow. So yeah, we got that, and we were supposed to do that. And then getting into preseason, we got to school 2 weeks early to do training camp, which is where we did like double day practices for 2 weeks because we have such a short amount of time for preseason and season because we are one of the first like sports, I guess, so we're a fall sport. And so, yeah, it was really hard because we're doing 2.5 practices each day. But yeah, I think our coach was really awesome about knowing what our bodies can handle and taking care of us. So I would really encourage everyone to find a coach who just really takes care of their well-being as well as really wanting to play the game and grow your game. Yeah.
Thank you.
Going into like the summer before, I actually hurt myself in June. I think it was like late June. And so I kind of like, part of me wanted to give up, because you look at all the stuff that they give you and you're like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do any of this. I can't even play soccer. So I went in and I still kind of couldn't really play soccer like fully. I couldn't shoot the ball or anything like that. And I was like, there's no way I'm passing the fitness test, you know? But that's going off what Ella said, it's really important to find a coach that's understanding, because my coach knew the situation and was completely like, okay, I'm going to give you another chance on the fitness test as long as you get close. So, like, if you do get injured, God forbid, there is still hope, and there's a lot of good programs, and there's the training rooms. Like, you'll notice when you go from high school to college how different the athletic training rooms are. There's a lot more equipment and stuff you can use. So if you are in that situation, there is hope for you, and I don't think you should give up just because you got injured, because that's what I thought, and now I'm playing.
Thank you.
Summer before, all I gotta say is take it seriously. Like, they give you the packet for a reason, and it's built around how their program works. And so I didn't do my research before I went to school. So here in Huntington Beach, it's 80 on a hot day. I went to Sacramento and it was 102, and I did not prepare for that. And so I think it's really important just to look ahead and like prepare your workouts around how your school is going to be, and even reach out to a teammate and ask, like, you know, how does it work around? And so I got there and it was pretty tough, you know, because all the girls are super competitive, and obviously you're preparing yourself to go into your preseason, which goes into conference. And so I got there and I got hurt like right away. I think I was there for like maybe 3 weeks, and I got hurt. And so I was like, oh, I'll be back, and like, you know, the coach will play me again. And that wasn't the case for me, just because the coach wants a team who consistently is able to help the team get better. And so I just think it's like, play your hardest and always like keep an open mind, which was a thing I struggled with. But overall, like, I think the fitness is really good to do, and just, you know, work with the team on it and you'll get through your preseason.
Yeah, I'd have to go off what Erica says for fitness wise, the packet. See, where I go to school, the elevation was a big thing for me, because elevation obviously here in Huntington is sea level, and I went to New Mexico, and the elevation where I go to school is at like 6,000 feet. So that was a huge setback for me, because I got elevation sickness. So then I was out, and then I got a concussion, and then I got sick again. So I was just like having a tough year. But it's all mental, honestly. If you push yourself through it, you know, you can always finish at the end. I mean, if I could do it, and if anyone else can, you know. So that's how I look at it. But I take it serious.
Yeah, going based off of what Autumn and Erica said, my school is in North Carolina, so we're 3 hours ahead than here. And where my school is located, it gets very, very humid, and I wasn't prepared for the humidity part. So I would get bloody noses like it was nothing, like every single day when we would train morning and night. And I was just so very dehydrated and everything like that. And I ended up getting sick because I'd have to go into air conditioning and then back out into the humidity and everything. And it was just awful. But like, just doing the fitness packet, I also didn't take the fitness packet very serious. I didn't do any fitness at all, which also I struggled with getting into season with. But I ended up starting every game and did very well in season. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's go on to the next. And so some of you that didn't get a chance to speak in that last one, maybe give some insights in this. So just, we talked about summer preseason. So then freshman year, just give me some of the things from soccer, school, and the social side of things that either you didn't expect, some good things, some bad things, some experiences, some insight into that.
I have something on that. So going into those first 2 weeks of preseason, your life is just completely soccer. Like, you're training mornings and nights. You don't have to worry about anything else. Like your sole purpose is just to be playing soccer. And so you kind of get used to that. Like you get used to the college life. That's what you're expecting. And then school starts and your games start and you're taking 6-hour road trips to different states. And all of a sudden it's not just about soccer and keeping yourself healthy. And just finding that balance of being able to time manage, because you get there and there's new people and there's things to do and there's places you've never been. And remembering that you're still a student was a big thing for me, because like for high school it was easy. You have school, it's what you're used to, but getting there and just remembering that you have to set aside time every day to do schoolwork is really hard to do when you have other things that you'd rather be doing. So just remembering that you're a student above an athlete is something that I found that was really important and struggled with for the first few months. So that'd just be my advice going into it, is just remember that school is more important than playing, which is obviously important, but school is what's going to get you to play.
Yeah, I think that's something that I struggled with as well, because I had stacked my schedule for my freshman semester, which I don't think is the greatest idea ever, especially when you are adjusting to this whole new lifestyle. But our preseason practices were, at least during the summer, double days. So like Madison said, you're getting really used to just, oh, wake up in the morning, go to practice, go home, take a nap, eat lunch, relax. Oh, time for second practice, you're driving or walking or whatever your campus situation is, to your next training. And for us, or at least for me, starting school was like kind of like a slap in the face. It was like, hey, you completed your summer sessions, like good job. But now we're gonna add hours of homework, travel time, game days, and just other things that you don't really take into account. So it is important to really just utilize your academic advisors, utilize your tutoring if you have trouble, do those study hall hours, because that's another thing that colleges implement usually for freshman students, and utilize the training room, because keeping your body healthy while doing all these things, and it's really a balance. It's great. At the end of the day, you feel like, oh, I just did that. Like, yeah, that's really awesome. But it's also important to make sure that your mental health is doing well.
I want to say something about the social part, because it's not completely different from high school, but for me, it was kind of like, whoa, all these athletes, like you meet all these new people and you're like, I want to hang out with everyone. Like I want to do all this stuff. But I will say, from my first quarter to my second quarter, I started taking sleep so much more seriously. Like in my first quarter, I kind of prioritized like socializing. I was like, oh, like I don't need sleep, like kind of like that. But I think as you go on, especially, like you realize that you are a student athlete and your school and athletics do come first, and it's fun and all, but some people learn the hard way. But you do need to prioritize those two things, because if it wasn't for those two things, you wouldn't even know these people, you wouldn't be at these social gatherings, So I would say going into it, it's hard to kind of adjust and like be like, okay, like I want to go have fun with my friends because everyone's doing it. But you have to remember, those sports aren't in season. You like when you're a college athlete and you're a soccer player, you go straight into season. So you kind of have to take it more seriously, but it's hard because it's like the first month. But I don't know. That's my opinion on it.
Going off of Kelly with the other student athletes, obviously my school has a lot of other student athletes. We have a football team. And so I think, it's not always bad to hang around them, but also it's like learn how to spend your time around them. So at first I was like, oh, friends. And I would just go and ignore my homework. But then I quickly started realizing like they're there for the same reason, to get an education and play their sport. And so what we would do is like we would set a time aside where we'd all hang out and use each other's resources for like class work that we needed to get done. And so I think it's really important just to like having fun and all, but also learn how to balance who you surround yourself with. That's more my social aspect of it. I mean, I know we're only this young once, but just think about it in the long run. Like your degree is going to get you somewhere where you can get a whole new social life. Like, you know what I mean? And so I just think it's important, like where our priorities stand, but not saying it's bad to have a social life.
Awesome. So from all of you, it sounds like balance and time management is a huge part of the college process. And I think what makes it extra hard is you're used to your parents and teachers helping with that balance, and then they're kind of out of the picture somewhat. Professors are going to let you succeed or fail on your own. Your parents aren't waking you up every morning to make sure you're on to class on time and all that kind of stuff, or making sure you're doing your homework at the dinner table before you get to go and play with your friends or whatever. So awesome. Does anybody have, so as far as the freshman year experience, or just your soccer experience in general, a lot of players go to college having been the best player on their team, having been the best player at their high school, and then they are now at an area where they're surrounded by 15 other kids, 30 other kids were the best players on their team. Any insight into that experience?
I can go off of that.
No, go ahead.
I hurt my back spring of my freshman year, and I was able to come back and play spring, which was really nice. And I got to play a lot, but given that the new freshman class didn't come in yet, summer I hurt my back again, and then I hurt my back again right during preseason. So I missed all of my preseason of my sophomore year, and it was mentally really hard. And then when I tried to come back, because everyone was already playing for the first 9 or 10 games and got all of that in, it was really hard for me to come back. So I think just making sure that you're mentally, like, you have to take everything in. It's just a lot, honestly. My sophomore year, I would say, was not my greatest. I was really upset all the time because usually in club, like, you get hurt, you come back, and you're going to play. But that wasn't the case. I would try to come back for a game, and I wouldn't play. Coach would put me in for 5 minutes, and it was just mentally draining. So that, for me, was really hard my sophomore year.
I'm going to keep it very real for everybody. So going in, like he said, like, it was like we're all the best on our teams. And so having 20 other girls who were the same exact thing, I was like, oh, like, we're all going to share our playing time. Like, it's going to be la-di-da, happy land over here. It was not the case. Like I got hurt, and then my coach put another player for me. And so when I was doing my rehab to come back from my injury, I was like, oh, I'm going to have my spot back right away. Like, I don't even have to worry. Not only was I out of shape because I was off my foot for a month, and I just thought I was going to come back without having to put the work in, but I was also, like, getting mad at myself and blaming myself for getting hurt. Like, injuries happen, and it's just the fact that you have to be open-minded and, like, have double the motivation to get, like, back on the field and just get healthy again. And, like, I know sometimes we won't get the playing time that we want, but it's just like you have to trust your coach to know what he's doing, and when he puts you in, to think that you're going to help the most, like, you're going to help your team the most at that specific moment. And I think, like, my mental health was so bad my freshman year. Like, I would cry, like, I would blame myself for everything that would go wrong on the field, like, and I would never cry about anything like that when I was in high school or in club. And so I just think it's like, I know you're there for school and soccer, but, like, I learned that you just have to control what you can control. So, like, once you get there, just make sure you're practicing 100%. Make sure you're taking care of your injuries. Make sure you're eating the right way. Like, make sure you're staying hydrated. Like, because that's the only thing you can control. Like, and then leave the rest up to your coach, and you have to, like, trust him, like I said. And so I think it's just really important to make sure your mental health is, like, good, because that's ultimately, like, it's your mind over body. And so, it's like you just have to go out there and just, make sure you're healthy and strong and, 100%.
Perfect. Thank you. So there's several more questions, but time's running out quick. So I want to make sure, I think this is maybe the most beneficial question, but just either something through your experience, something you wish you had known, something you had learned, a piece of advice you can give to current players in the recruiting process, in the just club, high school setting. If everyone could just go through and give one little nugget of advice, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, so the piece of advice I would give would to be persistent with the school that you want to go to. For my school that I wanted to go to, my coach is not very good at emailing back. So being persistent and making sure, like, hey, like, I'm still here, and showing up at ID camps and making sure your name is always in their inbox is really important. But also, like, don't get too stressed out. Like, it's totally okay. Like, you'll find a place if it's meant to be, and have fun, because soccer is fun. And it's not just supposed to be something really stressful. And if you want to do it, you should. So yeah.
I think one tip I have going into the recruiting process is use your club coaches. They're there as a resource, and anybody in the club is. And so that's how I got to my school. My Sean played there actually, so it was a nice resource that he helped me out with. But also for my little babies, little ones, just email whoever. Like, honestly, just get your name out to schools. Like, like, stay open. And then once you start getting like into your like sophomore, junior year, I think you should like really narrow it down to where you're trying to go, just so you can be persistent through your senior year with emails. And since the rules changed for NCAA, so we weren't really allowed to contact schools until our first day of junior year, and now it's sophomore year. So I just think like getting on early, like, and doing it is really important. And also call them. It doesn't hurt to get your college coach's number and just be like, hey, like, I'm so-and-so, and I would really appreciate, like, even if you leave a voicemail, like, they listen to them. My college coach told me that he listens to every single one. And so I think it's just really important. Even if you think they're not going to, just do it. And one piece of advice, just live in the moment. Like, don't let anything hold you back.
Kind of what Erica said, I would say ask your like older friends for help, because I know I asked Caitlin and Erica are two people that I was like using a lot during my recruiting process, because they were experiencing their freshman year. They kind of already had a feel for everything. So don't try to just make the decision is your decision, but don't just be like, this is my decision. Like, like, get advice and input from other people, especially people that have gone through it, like your coaches. And then my advice would be, so you're probably going to have morning practices, and I'm not a morning person. Like, I had to wake myself up for this. So the hardest part is getting yourself up and getting yourself to the field. But I've learned once you are there, it's fine. Like, it's what you do. It's like it's 4:00 in the afternoon. Like, so just get yourself up and get there, and then you'll be fine.
My first piece of advice, I guess, would be to do your research, because I did not take my recruiting process very seriously. I was emailing coaches but wouldn't really follow up, wouldn't call, even though Heath would be like, did you email your coaches back? Did you call your coaches? Like, he was just constantly telling us like 3 or 4 times at practice every day, or every time we had practice. But do your research. I think I was intimidated by the whole process itself, because there were so many people that were committing around me, and there were so many people that just knew what they wanted, and I had no clue if I even wanted to play soccer in college, which is why it took me so long to make that decision. So do your research, go to the program, ask for a training, like, just call your coaches, like Erica said. And my second piece of advice would be to not compare yourself, because like I said before, your friends are going to be deciding where they want to go. Some of them are going to be D1, some of them are going to be D2, and some of them are going to be NAIA, and they might be a better school than you. So just, your own journey is your own journey, so don't compare yourself. I think that's the best piece of advice I could give.
One piece of advice I would give is, when you're recruiting or when you're looking at a school, make sure that you find a school that fits you. I think sometimes people get caught up in like the name of the school, or like who's going where, kind of like what Alyssa was saying. I think finding what fits you, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to go to the school for 4 or how many years you go there. So I think finding a school that fits you academically, where you're going to live, the coaches, the team, there's a lot of components that go into it, and just making sure that, that's where you want to go and not where somebody else wants to go or wants you to go.
I think a piece of advice I could give is to stay positive. When you are recruited, you are there for a reason. And I think that I had to remind myself that every day. I'm competing with all these different girls, and I was just like, okay, like, sometimes I didn't feel like I was good enough. But I mean, obviously, you just got to tell yourself you're there for a reason, and your coach saw something in you. So just do your best you can.
Going off of that, the main thing for me, a lot of people, or that I've always struggled with, is confidence. And so just going into season, I was nervous because there's upperclassmen, there's a bunch of other freshmen. Like at my school, I think there were 15 other freshmen going in, and I was extremely intimidated at the first day of practice. But as the time went by, I realized that none of them are these like impossible players to play with. And if you have the mindset that you're just as deserving to be there as they are, you play way better. And just having the confidence to kind of direct the people around you shows the coaches a lot. And so just building up that confidence helped me at least to get a lot of playing time, and I ended up having a lot more of a successful season because of it. So just knowing that you're capable of just as much as your teammates is a big thing that helped me.
I would say don't give up hope, even if it's getting close to the end of like your senior year of high school and like your last club game. You still have community college to go to, so I would say not to give up hope. Also to use the resources and not to be intimidated as well.
Awesome. Thank you. We're down to a few seconds left. So again, I appreciate you taking the time. Stay safe. Make sure your family stays safe, and can't wait to see all of you out on the field again.